our God and all mankind.
I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart,
the wisdom and courage of my mind,
the strength and vigor of my body,
and the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice,
brotherhood, and peace,
to work diligently and creatively,
to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may under God
increase in beauty,
fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare
of the whole human race.
Of the whole human race. Of the whole human race.
Hello, good night or good evening. How are you doing, everybody? I hope you are well. Welcome to week 6. Now, this evening, we are doing, of course, Restoring Hope, Jamaica's Healing Circle. I am Dr. Zenu Gordon, school psychologist, and your host for this evening. I want to begin by saying that if you are here tonight, you matter, your story matters, your pain matters, and your resilience matters. Tonight, we are holding space specifically for Jamaican college and university students, those who are striving, surviving, and showing up every day, often while carrying invisible burdens. Going to college is truly an amazing experience. It is often described as a time of growth, independence, and opportunity. But for many students, this experience is layered with realities that are rarely talked about. Worries about tuition, housing, family security, immigration status, disability access, and mental health. Some students carry trauma from long before they even stepped into a campus. Others experience trauma while they are there at university or college. Many students suffer silently, wearing a mask to appear strong. Some become overwhelmed and begin to crumble academically or emotionally. And only a small portion truly understand how to navigate college systems well or well enough to access supports that they deserve. With the passage of the recent hurricane, many students, particularly from the Western Jamaica, are now carrying grief, loss, displacement, and emotional distress, while still being expected to perform, submit assessments and assignments, attend lectures, and push through. On top of that, some students continue to face harassment, bullying, or discrimination, or even lack of understanding around post-traumatic stress disorder and disabilities on campus. So tonight we're zooming in on you, college students, university students, your mental health, your learning, and your healing. This is a space, and it's one that we deem as a safe space. And you do not have to explain anything. You can just listen. If you want to type in the chat or if you want to come on and talk with us, feel free to do so. We want to let you know that, you have earned respect. You do not have to earn any of our respect or support. Here we honor your lived experience, and we're here to offer you tools. So tonight I am joined by Mrs. Tina Turner, university counselor at the Caribbean Maritime University. We're also going to be joined by Mr. Feliciano Thorpe, who is a college counselor and student success coach at Excelsior College. And of course, we continue to be joined by Dr. Adams, who is a school psychologist. Welcome, everyone. Together, we will talk about trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, disability, academic survival, self-advocacy, and hope. And before we go further, we're definitely going to take a moment to breathe. And so as we continue tonight, I'm going to ask Dr. Adams to ground us before we deep dive into the program. Good night again, all.
All right.
Hey guys. Hi Tina.
Hey. Yes, Sister Tor, if you come back, yeah, man.
Yes, man. Come back ready.
Lovely. It is
Ready,
good.
ready.
Yes.
Oh gosh, great. Well, thanks everybody who's here. Thanks for those who are listening live, those who will watch this on replay. We really appreciate you being here. First we're going to start out by just arriving, similar to something that we did last week. I think it's really helpful because we're all coming from different places, work, school. Some of us might be listening on our phones, in traffic. You might have had a rough day. You might have had a great day. But whatever it is, we just want to be present here and now. So we want to just kind of regulate ourselves and just arrive. So if you're able, meaning you're not driving and doing anything, that can hurt yourself, I want you to put your feet on the floor, firmly planted on the floor. Sit back, shoulders back. Now we're just going to take some deep breaths together. We're going to go inhale for 4. And we're going to exhale for 4. I cut it down from last time because 6 was really hard. So we're going to inhale for 4. We're going to go out for 4. Actually, I think I want to do some box breathing. So we're going to go in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. And then we're going to push out for 4. So I know it feels like the same, but it's really just the holding that's the extra 4. So I'm going to demonstrate. In, hold, out, and hold that out for 4. So I won't be able to talk through it while we're breathing, so just work with me, all right? So box breathing, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, then you're going to hold that out for 4. All right, let's go. In, hold, out, and hold. Again, in, hold, out, and hold. All right, I'm going to do it this time, but I'm not going to help with the transition. Just do it on your own for 4. Starting with in. Last time. All right. I hope we feel a little bit more settled and ready to get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Adams, for getting us grounded so that we can dive into, matters tonight. To start our conversation tonight, I want us to go ahead and take a look at the college system in Jamaica, or the tertiary system in Jamaica, which truly I would say wasn't built with trauma, disability, poverty, or disaster recovery in mind. I don't think, the system was truly built on premises or systems to support students with some of these issues. Yet there are many students that are expected to perform as if none of these exist. And so I want to start off by talking a little bit about trauma and the impact of trauma. And there's a week that we covered in detail. We went through some of these, some of the information here about trauma. Dr. Adams already walked us through the grounding right there. And remember, we talk about trauma, how the brain responds to trauma, that the cortisols, the stress hormone is activated like an alarm, beep, 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 beep. And then the body's in that mode where it's now alert, or, because the cortisols are released in the body is then in that type of active state, alert. And so the impact of trauma can be that, our attention is impacted, our memory is impacted, motivation, also, or emotional regulation can also be impacted. And so post traumatic stress disorder can look like difficulty concentrating. It can look like avoidance of classes and assignments. It can look like sleep disruption, or even emotional numbness and irritability. So I wanted us to kind of go there before we get to Mr. Thorpe and Counselor Tina Turner Thomas, who are going to talk to us a little bit about, what are the most common challenges you're seeing among Jamaican university students today. But I kind of want to provide a little background information about trauma and stress before we deep dive into some of that. So we know that trauma affects everyone, and students who are going to school are experiencing trauma or disability or poverty and disaster recovery, so many things different students are handling. And so struggling doesn't mean that they're failing. It means that the nervous system is responding to stress. So this leads me to the question, what are the most common challenges that you're seeing among Jamaican university students? Let us start there. And how do trauma and stress show up academically? And Dr. Adams, of course, you work with university students as well, trained to work with them. Definitely let us all talk about this matter. What are our thoughts there?
Who's going to start? The counselor's going to start first?
Or Dr. Adams, whoever,
I'm ready. I'm ready. So,
Yes.
all right, here it is.
Yes.
So I wanted to add a little bit to what you were saying about the trauma, because I know, we talked about it in previous sessions, like you said. But if anyone is new again and haven't been with us for these past 6 sessions, one thing that I want to remind everyone that we talked about was trauma, again, is not just the hurricane itself, right? It is the emotional wound that we carry with us, as well as that physical event. And your response to what has happened, many of that falls within the normal, what is considered normal, because that's your body trying to protect itself. In the case of college students, because your brain is main function is to protect you, it's going to prioritize survival over learning. So when you have some of those challenges that Dr. Gordon was talking about, you might see some other ones. I know for me, some of the things I've experienced in the past, not currently, like if you see things like, you're reading the same page over and over and over again, but it's just not sticking, it's not coming to you. Like, I've read this line 25 times and I still don't know what it is saying. You've studied really hard for exams and you get to the exam and you're just completely frozen. It could be some test anxiety, but that's not something that you have, been experiencing before. It might go beyond that, right? If you're now just trying to avoid class, avoid your professors, you're missing your deadlines, you're having a hard time starting assignments, completing assignments, organizing yourself, planning, or if you're having any other somatic issues, meaning your body aches or anything like that. Like those are some things that you might observe in and of yourself. And it's because a lot of the areas of your brain that are affected are those same areas that you need to do all of those things. Executive functioning, that's usually in the front of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. And we talked about in some sessions ago that when you experience trauma, like your brain kind of flips off, like the front of your brain kind of turns off. You're not really thinking, all of that executive functioning that you usually use, your reasoning, all of that, that's kind of turned off because your brain is trying to think about, how do I survive? Do I fight this thing? Do I run away, flight, or am I just frozen, fight, flight, or freeze? Some of the things also Dr. Gordon talked about with like memory, that's the hippocampus, right? So if you have PTSD, or you're still struggling with trauma, or you're still experiencing trauma or ongoing stress, then it's going to be hard for your brain to file everything in the correct cabinets it's supposed to be filed in. With trauma, it kind of distorts your memory because it doesn't know where to file these pieces of information away. Mr. Thorpe said last week, he talked about narrative therapy. Narrative therapy and narrative exposure therapy are really good to help your brain reorganize like where these experiences are supposed to go, because until then it's just an open file cabinet. So if that's open, it's going to be hard to learn new materials, or maybe even to remember or recall previously learned material. And lastly, like Dr. Gordon talked about, with that alarm going off, the big one, your amygdala, your fear center, the one that detects the threat. If you're, just looking around, you're anxious, and that might play into test anxiety, that might play into you not attending to new information or engaging with the information that you currently have. So those big brain systems are really impacted and can look like some of the things I just named around not being able to retain information that you're trying to look at. So I just wanted to continue to frame us as we hear like what it's looking like right now on the ground, like what college students are experiencing. And then, of course, well, the last thing I'd add, of course, if you add that, and if you're a student with a disability, right, adding in ADHD, anxiety, autism, any chronic health condition, or any other identified disability, when you add those things together, now there's a compounded effect. Particularly like if you think of ADHD and you're adding that trauma piece, now you're talking about, again, executive dysfunction. If you're adding in, if you have a learning disability and you add in that trauma, the things we talked about, memory, how you're processing information. If you're a student with autism and you compound that trauma, you might be looking at like heightened sensory, or you might experience more social withdrawal, and that might mean that now you're not further disengaging in class or with your professors. So thinking about your disability and then compounding that trauma with it too, understanding like what is going on. But I want to normalize that and know that even though it makes it hard, especially when you're a college student and the workload is demanding, that there's still things that we're going to talk about later that we can do to help us get through and cope.
Okay. Can I touch on that?
Absolutely, yes. And then
Just piggybacking on, because as one who really teach educators and try to prepare them for the class using psychology, there are two frameworks that I usually use. The first, I try to simplify as best as possible. The issue with our culture, especially Jamaican culture, is that, we say what is wrong with you first, instead of what is happening to you or what has caused you to be operating, which is the more trauma-informed approach. The critical thinking takes place. And a lot of times, even though the system acknowledges the psychosocial dimensions. What is missing is the biopsychosocial dimension. And that encapsulate the trauma informed approach, because the trauma informed approach really taps into the biological mechanism. Because what is happening is that the individual has gone through some shock, some stressful moment, and so the body has now been learning how to protect itself at all costs, without the individual being aware of how their survival brain has taken over, instead of their what you call the critical, the executive, the prefrontal cortex, or the executive function aspect. So one of the things that especially I want to say to educators, looking at like one of the things that strongly came out when Miss Adam was talking was the cognitive overload theory. When people are traumatized, working memory is really significantly impacted. And when I'm talking working memory sometimes is synonymous or told that it's like short-term memory, but many psychologists separate. Working memory is really, for example, I am teaching a concept and I ask a student to either recall what I said, maybe through a quiz on the spot, or I'm giving instructions to somebody in a car and then they take that instruction. That is working memory. It doesn't necessarily move into long term, but that is where you're applying. But what happened with cognitive overload theory? It is built on the Miller's Law, 5+7, which basically say our capacity to keep data or information between 5 discrete information or up to 9. When people are impacted by trauma, schools have to be very aware of how students is going to receive information, and they have to systematically adjust from the classroom to the other aspect of the organizational of a school system. For example, many in the cognitive overload theory, there is something called extraneous load. That is where things are poorly designed. It doesn't necessarily apply to only school. But when you're thinking about dealing with people and giving them information, especially learning information, especially people with disabilities and stuff like that, you have to be sensitive, because a lot of times if you give them certain information that causes fatigue or ego depletion and all of these kind of things to the learner, what's going to happen? Their working memory are going to overload. And so in a traumatic situation, just imagine all of that information is coming at them and now they have to deal with the pressures of school. So what's going to happen? They're either going to shut down, they're going to get frustrated, and that's going to reduce memory, working memory, and that is going to cause a whole plethora of problems in the classroom. And so schools need to be sensitive to this. I've noticed that UE students were on a strike. I actually was agreeing with them because I understood how post-traumatic challenges after a storm can really impact students. And they were pretty much crying out, asking the school to modify. And that is one of the ways you modify to reduce the cognitive overload. And one of the things that at our school, at Excelsior Community College, which I really, really want to big up, they have really pushed back the exam to January. That kind of lessen the extraneous load and facilitate what is called germane load, which is where now it supports schema construction or learning in the learner. So they have moved most of the assignments. There are no more alternative assignments. They have negotiated with CCJ and they have come to an agreement that due to the hurricane, we are going to kind of phase this thing out, break it up step by step. And that is how you treat and help people who are going through a traumatic, because Jamaica is not going to be under education, although I see some schools not really doing it and pushing, but that's another story. But I'm just saying, as educators, educators, we need to be educators, and as counselors in the school, we have to really sound the alarm and talk and give psychoeducation on cognitive overload and do programs that will help educators to understand the disconnect and the disassociation that many students might be having with the schools right now. Because you don't want them to not like school. You want them to like school. And if somebody's traumatically, their nervous system is hypervigilant and they're in a fight, flight, freeze mode, that is a shutdown you're going to have. On many levels, and you need to understand what the learner is going through and then take a biopsychosocial approach when you are going into the classroom or when you're thinking about intervention system for students. Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah, you touched some salient points, Mr. Tarp, and I am in total agreement with you, on some of those matters. Before we address Dr. Russell's thought, I want us to hear from what's going over there at Caribbean Maritime University with Mrs. Tina Turner Thomas. Hi, Mrs. Brailsford. I'm not sure. Welcome to this space. I have you on stage. If you want to share anything at any point, feel free to share with us.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm happy to be here. It has been quite a journey getting here, I can tell you that. However, since Hurricane Melissa, Caribbean Maritime has 4 campuses. However, the counseling unit supervises 3. So we're at the Palisados, Port Royal, and Montego Bay. And Montego Bay was affected through Hurricane Melissa. One of the greatest challenge that we've had so far since Hurricane Melissa is the fact that a lot of our students were disconnected. And the challenge presented in many areas. And what our institutional leader decided to do was to focus. Initially, they wanted to, resume and then have persons air their concern. However, the student union had put up a strong front, and decided that no, it cannot be business as usual. And so they listened, and we started out our resumption after Melissa with a town hall where all their needs were aired out there, and then the school, based on the needs that were presented, decided to react or respond accordingly. So what started out first was that persons' physiological needs were attended to first. A lot of our students have lost their homes. A lot of our students do not live anywhere. They're sharing, they're catching somewhere. And as such, it could not be school as usual. A lot of them did not have uniforms, their laptops, everything is gone. And as such, the school came out really good. So for our Western campus, we started out by, providing care packages that would cover all the different areas. So whether you lost your home or you just needed food or whatever, there were a few students who I knew were experiencing challenges. I did home visits for a number of those in the Western end as well. We also did a tiered approach. So first, after they would have gotten some attention as it relates to their physiological needs, we also gave tablets to students who would have lost, their devices and, for them to resume school. The institution have also scaled back on activities that they would have done for staff and decided to have shifted these resources in aiding students with tuition and also their parents who would have lost their jobs, because a lot of their parents from the Western end would have been working in hotel areas, and most of our hotels were closed at that point in time, so there were no jobs. For some persons have lost their jobs completely, and having to have been going through challenges prior to Hurricane Melissa, and then after Melissa, the situation have compounded. greatly. And these were some of the frustrating points that would have come forth. So initially, we focused on the physiological need. We all know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If our physiological needs are not dealt with, then we can't think about where we belong or self-actualizing or anything of that sort. So attending to that first, I thought made the process easier for them to be able to sit and share, I am going through this or going through that. This is what I need support with the most. We have been able to visit, have one-on-ones, have group sessions, and then what the institution have also opened up is because, our institution is a uniform institution. And so we have strict guidelines as it relates to maritime regulations. We had relaxed all of those. Whatever they had, let them wear, let them come. And there are a significant amount of our students currently who still don't have electricity right now. So what has happened at our Western campus is that whether they're having school or not, it was open for them to just come, sit around, do whatever they needed to do. Our assessment regulations were also altered as well. So we would normally have our end of year assessment in December. That was also transferred to January. Even our graduation ceremony have also transferred to next year as well. In addition to that, any fee challenges in terms of late fees and whatnot, all of those were relaxed to allow persons to feel comfortable to come back to school and still have the support that they needed. I think we've even opened up the opportunities for persons, no matter where they are, to reach out to us for whatever challenges they were experiencing. The assessment guidelines were also not rigid anymore. Whatever test that needed to be had, as long as whenever they were able to come in and do that, those were facilitated. So we're still in the process. Those are still ongoing. And yes, we have been able to pinpoint where our students are, those who are without homes, those who are in need of support, ongoing support. And we have been, attacking it from different levels. Our students' union have also gone and garnered support through the university and outside, and have been able to be distributing to their colleagues here at campus and at the different campuses in order for them to get the support that they need. We've also had to do support and reflection for the staff, because I believe that it is everybody's responsibility to be able to understand psychological first aid and to be able to, link and, persons to resources and all of that. And for they themselves in terms of coping, because when persons come and they unload onto you, you want to be able to know how to receive that information and relate it for the support that they need. And if you yourself need support upon hearing all of this, what to do in this particular situation. So that has been the approach from the counseling unit so far, working from physiological and taking it step by step along that way. So far, it has helped a number of students. And as we are closing out for this for this semester, we have had at the Western campus just a de-stress day. We had games, we had food, we tell everybody to come in, and we just gave them an opportunity just to motivate them, let them unwind, and still feel centered as much as they possibly can. The trauma comes in different areas, but the way that I have seen it present itself the most, it is for those persons who were having pre-existing challenges, and then now it is now compounded. And I think predominantly it is financial challenges. And then for those who have no clear path as it relates to where am I going to live in another month, in another 2 months, in another 3 months. And there have been a significant number of persons who would have been saying this: should I leave school? Should I quit? Should I keep going? These are some of these things that are bothering them. So what I do find though is that more of our students are concerned about their parents, and the fact that if they were their main supporter, and if now that they can't support they want to find ways now how to be the support for the family instead of continuing their education. So rightfully shared by Doc earlier as it relates to when these trauma hits and it attacks, no one is thinking about studying or even wanting to be in
Yeah,
school at this
yeah.
point in time. I remembered when we would have resumed and class was being phased in, and one of the young man that was so vibrant in school, and I would check on him. He's like, Miss, my mind is not there. And I said, I can imagine, but I totally am with you, and just know that you're not alone. And if you need support, you can definitely reach out. And when I saw him, he was like, I just needed that moment to refocus and get my mind together. It's not quite there, but I'm still going to continue because my family needs it. So it's a lot of introspection, a lot of aspirations too, as well. But the trauma is heavy for both staff and students, and it's centered around uncertainty, the anxiety of what is to come and how will I cope when, the rest comes, when next year comes, and, where am I going to live? What am I going to do? And how quickly can I, bounce back from all of this? Because some of my students are online right now, and I can say to you that they are wondering how, where, when am I gonna get out of this? And those are the frequent questions being asked.
Mr. Thorpe, are you seeing anything similar with your students? Or I know you.
Yeah, a few of them definitely. The thing about this hurricane is that Jamaica, the Jamaica school system, uh, had its challenge. So this has literally, I think Mr. Russell has something up there called intersectional trauma. Yes. I think what has happened, because trauma doesn't happen in isolation. And what has happened is that this has just compounded those traumatic issues that has already been there. What Melissa has done is just brought to the forefront how fragile we are and how the school system definitely need more mental health support. And as I said, since Melissa, my life has just twirled, but there's such a demand, and I had to rise to the occasion, even when I don't know what me I do, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that the reality is it has amplified. But at the same time, as last week I was talking about the anti-fragility concept, I think it's an opportunity. I think it has brought to the forefront, especially the key stakeholders, many counselors like me and Ms. Turner has really been advocating, crying out for support, and nobody was really listening to us. I mean, we study hard, as mental health practitioner. Even right now, I'm on my way to licensure. And trust me, the support has not even been there for us personally. We have to go out of our way to get these training to help those who are before us. So the reality is I've seen quite a bit in my school, especially with those who have disability or learning challenges. What is happening, especially at the college level now, is that because there has been such a weak infrastructure to really help students from the basic school to learn certain basic things like proper maths and English. What is happening? Many of them are coming through the school system without any true assessment. And as school counselors, I mean, Zanugod and Dr. Adams, I'm sure you know this very, very in real time. And one of the things when I entered the college realm, I got a culture shock because I didn't really expect adults to be operating at a developmental level like a grade 2. And one of the things I had to do, especially from a trauma, one of the things I'm going to kind of fuse tonight is called the trauma-informed strength-based approach. That's the approach I take, because it's one thing to acknowledge a trauma, It's another thing to build supporting systems to help people overcome that trauma or to produce the environment for post-traumatic growth. And so we have to help people, our students, our educators, identify the strengths in the midst of the weakness. As I said, anti-fragility. Because what's going to happen if you only hear negative, you are going to, and you know the negativity is very loud and upfront. You have to be that voice of reasoning. You have to be able to identify and show people the strength. And I'm talking to Tina Turner now because they're looking at this thing all hopeless. Last week we had a fantastic show and we were talking about anti-fragility. That really means it's not resilience. I know we talk about resilience. Resilience is bouncing back to what's normal, but anti-fragility is building that muscle, getting stronger from that situation. So I hope your students are listening tonight and looking at the opportunities that this create. Will this cause the students to become more in tune with each other? Will they start building more communities to strengthen each other? And I heard it coming out. I saw so much strength, anti-fragility coming out of what you're talking about, Mr. Turner, right there, when you was talking about how I think is some of the students giving to other students, how them doing stuff. All of this coming out. A lot of those things weren't coming out. So you see the Jamaican what should I say? Should I say spirit? I don't want to say that. It's coming out. It's coming out. And I think this is a prime opportunity for us, especially a platform like Healing Circle, to be kind of just giving out this kind of resource and information to schools and educational institutions and those educators who are really grappling with the traumatic or the post-traumatic stress and so on. And you touch educators. I'm happy that you touched that. That's an area that's a sore point. There is this feeling in the education realm that that educators should just be like robots, and there's not a lot of psychosocial or mental health intervention that is systematically that is geared, because you have to help the educator to help the students. And if they are traumatized because they have families who have house blow down, I know principals who all of them, I think my principal personally, all of his land that was, I think he had a wonderful farm ready for Christmas. All that was blown away. I had to go to him personally to acknowledge his grief, just to validate that. And just to let it, because what is happening, that is what is called disfranchised. Because oh, you have life. That's the mentality. Oh, you have life now. And people are struggling with losses. And they are grieving. They have lost what is normal. And we have to learn to validate that, at the same time give a strength-based approach to show them, say, hey, things are this, but let's take it a step by step. What do we have around us? What is in your hand? As the Bible says, what is in your hand, Moses? God never said, it's all these mighty things. What is in your hand? And those are the things right now that Jamaica is going to use to create miracle. And this is what's going to cause us to rise. As I'm just kind of seeing the phoenix, but I don't want anybody to rebuke me. But I'm just saying.
Yes, that's awesome. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks. Definitely. Thank you for sharing, what's going on, at your campus, Mr. Thorpe. Miss Turner, Mrs. Turner Thomas, for sharing what's going on at your campus. And it sounds like I really like the tiered approach and the systemic approach that's been used. And so that's why we have excellent counselors who ensure that, we follow the hierarchy of need, ensuring that the basic needs are met and then take it from there. And so I love what's going on in the universities. I want to go back a little bit about what Dr. Russell shared about that intersectional trauma, particularly among Jamaican students. And in talking about that, we know that intersectional trauma is where students are already coming with many stressors, before we even get to the whole thing around the disaster. Students already were dealing with pressure being the first generation student in college, the first one from a family going to university.
I
Um,
remember you, Zanu. I remember you back at college with the student loan.
Well, with student loan. Well, I wasn't the first one to go to college, yes, but student loan, having to worry
Yeah.
about student loan and having
Uh-huh.
to make sure those student loans are paid. Also,
Stress. Yeah.
the wonders about managing your about home. You're at school, but then your mind is at home too, because you know that some of the families are managing or trying to manage food. Um, insecurity and housing insecurity and instability. And so all these stressors coupled with
Compound.
right with what's going on as it relates to
Compound.
COVID, and then having to focus in school. These matters cause chronic anxiety for some students. For some, it causes guilt when resting, so it affects their sleep because they're thinking, okay, I'm here at college when at back home that's going on. Difficulty focusing, burnout, mask as laziness sometimes. So there are many pieces, many stressors that are interrelating, that are layered, and are affecting our students. And so I want to take us now to a point where we talk about how are we reaching these students? Are we seeing more students reaching out for help? Are we seeing um, the students that were reaching out before? Are we seeing changes in their approach to their education? What are some of the things that we are seeing, and what are some coping and regulation strategies that we can employ to help these students?
Doc, so what I found really comforting when I would have done my assessment for those persons who had, pre-existing challenges and was, in counseling prior to Melissa, I found that they were able to rely on the coping mechanisms learned in their sessions to maintain themselves throughout Hurricane Melissa. I specifically remember one female I had, and she said, "Miss, you did something to me." I said, "People, nobody go tell nobody them something." And she was like, "No, miss, I used to be so jittery. I used to be anxious, but I found myself through Melissa extremely calm till my sister was wondering if I was okay because she was the one wondering how comes I'm not reactive. And she said, I did these things throughout the hurricane. I was coloring because when she was, a little anxious, I got her a coloring book and I said, let's start here. And then, observe your thoughts and tell me what's going on when you're doing this daily. And she said she found that having her coloring book throughout Melissa, because she lived in Montego Bay, and she lived in Montego Bay, but she boarded in Kingston, but she went home during Melissa, and she was like, I literally shared that book with my sister, and she was saying, I need to meet your counselor. But the point is that she was able to use this and then pass it on to family members, and it gave them some solace in terms of taking their mind off what's going on around them. But I found that persons who had challenges but didn't, let's say they weren't very upfront about, dealing with whatever they were going with, they had a moment where they just simply broke down because everything has now surfaced at my doorstep and I don't know what to do or deal with this. I remember prior to doing the assessment for persons to receive care packages and all of that, and, a member of the student union said to me, "Miss, after the fourth person told me that they were couldn't understand how to deal with hearing that word another time." And so I had to sit with them, talk to them about how to manage what they were listening to, and even helping persons to set boundaries, because there are a lot of people who believe that everything that goes on social media I should be a part of that and I need to know what's going
Mhm.
on in this particular area. And
Boundaries.
I said, you need to set some boundaries. Know
Mhm.
what it is that you can manage by watching, listening, and seeing. And
Yeah.
if in your contacts, share with your friends, what not to share with me, you know, limit the level so that it does not affect you and your ability to function as you would like. And so a lot of these were some of the areas that I keep, circulating on. And then there is overload. There is challenges here, challenges there. I'm in the middle of it. Even when I step out of it, I walk into another challenge. And this is where I started saying, write it, write about it. I may not be there to listen to it, but if you want to send me voice notes, and so I open my CUG to my students, send me a voice note, write what you've seen, write how you feel, and tell me about it. And anytime I get it, whenever you have services, I will respond to it. And so I would get random texts at 3 a.m. in the morning because that's when they get service, or 1 a.m. because that's when they were able to connect somewhere or use somebody's phone. And I found that the avenue of just sharing, and not keeping it inside created an outlet for a number of persons. So, in that respect, I started along that line to give them the opportunity of utilizing this because there were some people who simply you cannot reach them by the phone and you still can't because they have no
Mhm.
service as yet, they have no
Right.
electricity as yet.
Um,
And we would just only hear, like, whenever they would get the opportunity to get a service. I remember one of my students texting me about after 1 a.m. telling me that she just get the opportunity and she's on her neighbor's roof texting me because that's where she's been able to get signal for the last 10 or 15 minutes. And she just needed to unload at that point in
yeah.
time. And so I keep in contact each day. I try to send her a message just in case whenever she gets services or whatever, she will be able to see it and it would give her some sort of comfort. So I go in simplistic mode and also very practical and light. So it doesn't feel like, okay, this is too much. I cannot deal with this right now because I'm already going through too much. So I said, you only need to do one thing. Any one thing that feels natural in that moment that gives you an opportunity not to keep everything inside and to unload it out there.
Mhm. Wow. That's amazing. The work that you're doing, Dr. Turner Thomas, is just incredible. And I'm
Mm.
speaking that for you. Yes. It's amazing. And I love how you adapt strategies that are working for your students, for your campus. And so I'm going to ask Dr. Adams to share some other strategies too.
Sure.
And
Well, first, I want to lift up Dr. Turner too, and Craig has been picking you up in
yes.
the chat this whole time, um,
Yes.
and has been asking some really great questions that we might want to go back and look at some of them if we
Yeah.
want to address
Mhm.
more broadly. But I love the coloring. So some of the things that we've talked about in a few of the sessions before: big trauma, big movements, anything you can do with expressive art, drama,
Mm-hmm.
dance, talking about playing, going back to just simple games like that, moving your body. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be huge. Breathing, we'll always talk about breathing. Activating your parasympathetic nervous system is going to be crucial. That is, something you don't need to get any other materials. If all you have is yourself, you would just breathe is the first thing. We did some box breathing earlier. There are different types of breathing. Breathing in like you're smelling something sweet, holding it, blowing out like you're blowing out a birthday candle. Like that's the type of the depth of breathing that you need. My favorite, which I bring up almost every week in grounding, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things that you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, while always leaving out one. Somebody drop it. And what hear 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can taste, 1 thing you can smell, or 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Turner. So grounding. And if you're like me and you're like, which one of these senses come first? just whatever order it comes to you in, whatever is most like accessible to you. Touching honestly is one of the quickest ways to calm yourself back down, anything that you can touch, and then smelling as well. But a lot of times we might not have different smells around us. So whatever is in your area. But in terms of like in actual your classes now, some we would call these more like accommodations. Honestly, I really think that I'm gonna hop to a one quick tangent and come back. Systems in general, whether college or just regular school system, I really think we need to be thinking more about universal design and using and trauma informed practices. Because some of the things I'm going to say are things I think systems can just naturally build in, and I think some schools are already doing that. And I think Dr. Turner has even mentioned some of these things. For students, if you are struggling, building back on what Mr. Thorpe was talking about with cognitive load theory, things that you can do if you have a whole bunch of assignments, breaking those assignments down into tasks, small tasks, using checklists. Because sometimes, like, if I had to learn this, I like, all right, after this, after this, after this, da, 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 and I'm trying to hold it in my head. But if you remember, Mr. Thorpe and I had talked about working memory. And the thing is, when your working memory is impacted, it also impacts their ability to follow multi-step directions or to hold multiple things in your mind at one time. So even if you know that you used to do that really well, I'm like, all right, I have to turn in this assignment to Dr. Thorpe. I gotta do this to Dr. Turner, and then I got to do this task. I gotta, all right, and then now you just keep repeating stuff over and over and over. Like, use a checklist. Yes, Craig. Make a list, get it out instead of holding those steps in your head. Now, if you're studying, sometimes like, yeah, you want to sit down, you want to knock this out. No, just like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Study, take a break, come back. Study, take a break, come back. Use whatever systems you have.
Dr. Adam, that we are a culture of cramming.
And sometimes I'm still guilty of it. It's a hard habit to unlearn. I'm not gonna even.
We're not using the brain-based best study
Very
techniques.
last minute. We are
I'm actually teaching that next semester. I did a presentation.
Me too. I've literally, when it comes down to examination period, I have to be getting at the study skills and how managing your time is important in all of this, because we are very last minute, like 10 minutes to the. I remember asking one student, "How do you study?" What is that, please?
Night before, night before.
Unfortunately, it's also systematic. Unfortunately.
And the thing is, I mean, that may have worked, because I'm not going to lie to you. It has worked for me multiple times, but when you've now been exposed to trauma and ongoing stress, the things that you may have gotten you by before, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
And I keep, bringing up the point about the writer's block. I will not forget my final semester in the degree program, turned up for my ethics exam and didn't even remember to spell 4 letters in my name. And I was right there sitting down in Michael, could not put a thing on that paper. And, that experience had taught me a valuable lesson. And I keep sharing that with them over and over, that studying is supposed to be something that you do every day after your sessions. I know it's kind of hard, but at the last minute, you cannot leave everything on the line for that one night to remember. I said, every day your brain replaces something you've learned with something new that you would have learned. And as such, your amygdala not going to give you everything that you need in that point in time. So you are going to need to do something about how to properly prepare for that. So yes, definitely, Doc.
Yes. Yeah. Look, Craig said earlier, he said, I'm a true Jamaican. Then I'm like, yeah, Craig, me and you both. Like, when this level of exposure, of traumatic exposure happens, it's even things I think that, classes can do. Think simple, coming early to your exam, like not rushing through the door, coming early and sitting down, doing those breaths or anything, trying to just pause if you can. I don't know what the accommodations look like, but pausing, if you're feeling overwhelmed because you have so much work to do, you're not doing a checklist, you're not doing, you're not chunking it or whatever, talk to talk to your professors. Let's start there. Talk to your professors and tell them what's going on. Even if it's like, Mr. Thorpe, all I can submit is this. First of all, tell him beforehand. Don't wait till the deadline and then come talk to him and then want him to have grace. Communicate with your professors first. See if submitting partial work, or if you can work out a schedule to submit certain sections of what you're doing. But talk to your professors because they're very understanding, especially during this time.
I want to piggyback on Dr. Adams. One of the things that I see coming out very, very strongly, and I'm kind of even becoming more acutely aware of it, is what I call cyber trauma. The collective trauma that is coming from the screens, as well as what I also call digital wellness. The reality is our students and phones have become almost synonymously the relationship they have. It's a part of their lives right now. But what I'm finding is that they don't understand the psychological mechanism that has built these phones, that has caused them to be so caught up, especially on these apps. And so one of the things we need to be very aware, or maybe need to do an entire program on this, Dr. Zanu, is that all of that negative information, students need to know how to take cyber breaks. All right. They need to know how to detach psychologically from their phone, because it's
Right.
very important for their mental health, And some maybe even experiencing nomophobia now. Due to the lights are off, that's a whole different level of trauma there that we might not think is trauma, because losing the light and all of that, it will add stress, because you're used to this thing and it's just gone now. And now you recognize the value because it's attached to so many things that that makes you comfortable. And so a lot of students I know, I have been helping them with like digital hoarding. I've been helping them with digital wellness, helping them to use their device, because a digital wellness aspect is in their phone, how to measure how long they stay on an app, and how to create intervention, cyber boundaries, how to enhance your studying by knowing where to put the phone for 2 hours, what kind of apps can you put on the phone to help you to curb behavior, which we call behavior modification, apps to help, because it's a serious issue right now. I'm seeing, especially among our young people, and it's really impacting their studies. And I don't think a lot of them don't recognize until you bring it into their awareness. So I've been teaching on digital wellness because I don't believe in them, separating from their phone. I believe in understanding the relationship psychologically having a phone, understand the psychological elements and how they use it, and how you can counter that to thrive digitally. So that's something that I recognize is very, very needed, especially in the conversation of trauma, because when those images kept coming, I myself had to just take a digital break, go into the real world, take a deep breath, box breathing, doing all of these strategies to really calm, because I'm moving into hypervigilance after a while, because I'm seeing all of these stories and I'm getting scared, and I'm concerned about some of my friends and my families. And so unfortunately, you have this device now right into your hands, right into your room. It's and it can facilitate the whole traumatic experience. So what I call mindful scrolling, not doom scrolling, mindful scrolling. Be very aware of how you are the scrolling, looking at, because what is that going to happen? The algorithm is going to feed you the traumatic things if you keep on looking at it. Unfortunately, it's going to send you. And that can fuel a whole level and add to the trauma that you're going through. So I'm just encouraging listeners who have these devices, do some mindful scrolling. Be intentional. What you're going to do when you go on that device. Don't just go on it like that. What is your purpose for going on it? And also be mindful of how you're spending. Check your digital wellness. Are you spending 5 hours on Instagram? Maybe you need to cut that
Mm.
down to an hour. And how are
Yeah.
you going to do that? What measures are you going to put into? You need a digital wellness plan. What measures are you going to put into place to really mitigate that? And what apps can you use? For example, I use Forest when I'm studying. Forest is like an app like grows a tree. There's a free dimension. So it blocks out like Instagram. I choose to block out Instagram, Facebook and stuff, maybe for an hour or two. And then if by, cause it's automatic, because we got so used to the phone, so we might just reach for Facebook when we get bored, and then it just comes up and say your tree's gonna die. So it's the behavior modification. So I go back to the studying and take what they call interleaving breaks. That's how you have to understand how your brain works. And what is happening, we need a more brain-based approach to education, something that's very missing from the Jamaican educational climate a lot. Thankfully, people like me is trying to bring that kind of pedagogy and andragogy to the educational landscape, because a lot of the information a lot of time is that the educators sometimes themselves don't even know how the environment is impacting them and how the
Yes.
environment. But we have to be very conscious of the cyber environment. And that's a whole new genre of phenomena that is coming in there that might take a different program. Yes.
Yeah. Do we have time to add to that, Dr. Gordon?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we have some time. Yes.
I love that you brought that up. I went
Mhm.
to a conference in February where I don't remember the lady's name, but she was one of the people who develops like apps and things for like Microsoft and Outlook and all of these things. And she was saying that, I mean, they are paid to make it addicting. So even not just like Instagram and cyber, but just the mere apps on your phone itself. She taught us basic strategies about like making your phone black and white, like not having the color. The colors they pick are very like intentional for the apps to draw your brain to it. But in terms of strategies, tying it back to what we're talking about tonight, if you're going to be studying and you're a college student, there's some things I want you to know. And this was proven in a study. One, even if you're studying, you have your laptop or if you have a book in front of you and your phone is right next to you, even if it's off or it's face down and you're not looking at it, so to speak, that still is not, that's going to be the least effective thing that you're going to do. Your working memory, remember we talked about that a lot today, the lowest of the three things I'm about to say. So you might as well just be on it at that point. The next one is, even if you say, all right, I hear you, Dr. Adams, I'm not going to have my phone next to me. I'm going to put it in my bag, or I'm going to put it in my pocket. Or even if I put it under my leg so I don't see it, that is better, obviously, than seeing it right next to your books or next to your device. But even then, you're still not working at an optimal, your brain's not working optimally. It's better than having it in front of you, but it's not the best. Now, what the experiment saw was if you put your phone in another room while you're studying or trying to, bring in new information or just study, recall old information, that is when your working memory was at its highest capacity. So there are even some of those things that I want you guys to remember too. And that's really just because your brain, even though you're not on your phone, it is how our brains are being wired now or rewired now. It's still actively or consciously trying to figure out where your phone is or what's going on it, even though you're not technically on it. So another one of your study tips, just don't study with your phone next to you. That is that. Put it in another room. To use it as a break. Some of the things, some of the strategies I'm gonna look back. I'm being paradoxical because I'm about to look at my phone because my notes were on it from this session. But she said one thing that you can do, or a few things. She said, close your eyes for 10 seconds to regain energy, like just squeeze your eyes. She said that will give you a spark in alpha waves, which is pretty much what you need to get your brain to like refocus. So closing your eyes really quickly if you want to take those type of breaks. If you're studying, get up, walk. We talked about movement before. Getting up and walking, going phoneless. Don't bring your phone with you into the bathroom. So now you're, in the bathroom scrolling on your phone. So that's not going to be helpful. And
Dr. Adams here mashing up things, man.
And it's like these are simple things that it's just I know the one big one I see a lot on social media, but it has so much truth to it when people say go touch grass. Really
Uh-huh.
going outside in nature, like resetting your brain completely.
Yep.
So guys, as you're studying, like I said, take those breaks, do the checklist. If you have apps that can help you, there are lots of apps right now that are coming out with executive functioning to help people plan and organize and start tasks, complete tasks, give rewards, incentivize. Be careful though, because those dopamine hits can, get you don't want to get
Mm-hmm.
too addicted to those, so make sure you're monitoring yourself. That's a whole nother piece with that. But yeah, not you having your phone, closing the eyes really quickly. One of the strategies that Dr. Gordon talks about sometimes is progressive muscle relaxation. So just essentially squeezing different muscles, starting from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. For when you can do your brows, hold it for 2 seconds, squeeze your eyes. You can squeeze your nose, lips, shoulders, and just going down all the way to your toes, doing that progressively from, like I said, head to toe. That's another thing that you can do to just help you stabilize. Because, I went all over the place to stabilize. Stabilize brought me to one more thing. I'm sorry, I'm like rushing through all of this because it reminded me of something that Mr. Thorpe said about anti-fragility. Because we've been talking about that last session, which was so awesome. And I wanted to say, to stabilize, we have to stabilize first. I think what Dr. Turner Thomas has been talking about is a great way in terms of stabilizing your foundation, that meeting those physiological needs. So if anyone is listening, yes, we're using trauma as our catalyst for growth. We're going to build something better. I think Craig had asked, like, can you hold these two things at once? And it's like, yes, there's this balance of like, I still have needs that need to be met.
Right.
Still want to have a strength based, like Mr. Thorpe was saying, approach to, okay, well, how are we not only getting through this, but we're getting through this and we're getting on to something better. So just being mindful again that we're not saying, I just want to make it clear that we're not saying that you must just get over what has happened, because that's not how that works. You think of like a muscle, right? You rip the muscle before you can build that muscle. You have to stabilize it. You ice, you do all, you have to go to the rehab specialist, can't think of the name, physiotherapist, and you stabilize that muscle, and then you build that muscle, and your hope is that that muscle is stronger than it was before. It's a very similar thing. So there are lots of strategies that we threw out, and there are lots of theories that we've been talking about. But again, I just want you guys to know that as you're going through this, going through your college coursework, and all of this stuff is happening, I think if I could say one thing, I would say talk to your professors. That's an underrated. Let them know what's going on. Let them see how they can help you. Build systems in place so that you're not falling behind. I know, Miss Dr. Turner, you were saying that some students might feel like, all right, I need to go help be my, help support for my family or take over and be the main person. And I really wish we had time, because some of the things I would love to talk about is just about, okay, how do we do this both? And like, how are we ensuring that, yes, I understand your family has needs and all this is happening, but we still want to protect your education. This is still important. How do we prioritize that? So maybe at another time we'll be able to go through some strategies where we're doing both of those things. But it's hard for me to say, don't just, I don't want to tell you either or, right? Because context is important, but I really want to I want to challenge anybody who's listening to start reframing some of the things and some of the choices that you think that you have to make. Um, yeah, I'll stop there because there's.
Dr. Adams, you definitely touched a lot of strategies that are very practical. And, I think it's a lot of first steps that can be taken to help students. I love the idea about talking to the professors, You know, we have the university counselors here. Reach out to them for the support. We have approach talked about as leaving the phone away whenever you're studying or wanting to focus, because that can be a distractor that can heighten anxiety. And there's research that Dr. Adams talked about that addresses some of how, you know, how much the phone can be a distractor more than you think it is. So lots of strategies spoken about tonight. And one that I'm going to want to deep dive into next week or some other time is something called acceptance commitment therapy. I want to go into that with students, and I want to talk more about how powerful that can be and give you some practical ways in which you can use that as you go through your studies and this time of hardship that you may experience or not. Personal, Mr. Thorpe already threw my story out there that I had some struggle when I was going to college.
Mr. Dr. Adams, I
want
have
to
to
hear
even tell you.
And that was true, but I had to use the very strategies that were spoken about.
And he certainly gave it to them.
And self-advocacy, yes, you have to advocate for yourselves and, you know, use resources that are available to you. I know some of these resources we are not 100% familiar with where to find them. So I'm going to share, before we end tonight, I'm going to share with you some resources from the ministry that you can access. Let me see. Share screen. Let me see if I'm on the right. I want to share some resources, but give me a second here. Pulling up the page. Give me a sec.
You want me to do an exercise with some students?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yes,
All right.
thank you so much.
While Mr. Dr. Gordon is getting ready, one of the exercises that I do with my students, your shoulders can be very intense. It's like you carry a lot of weight on your shoulders. So I'm going to do a double whammy. I'm going to do a deep breathing exercise while bringing up my shoulders and squeezing, trying to touch my ears. So I'm going to count to 4 while I'm taking in a deep breath and bringing my shoulders up, and then pause for another 4, and then for 4, just breathe down. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate right now. So breathing for 4, 1, 2, bring up your shoulder, 3, 4, and squeeze, hold. Exhale, 1, bring down those shoulders, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess 5 could work as well. Let's do it again. Breathe in for 4, 1, 2, bring up those shoulders, 2, 3, 4, and squeeze. Try to touch your ears as much as possible. And then breathe out for 4 again, 1, 2, bring down those shoulders, 3, 4. It releases tensions in your shoulders, and it's a really good exercise to kind of, relax the shoulders, because all of that tension tend to be up there, Yes.
To do it with the whole body.
Yes, right. You can. Yeah.
Yes.
Squeeze the eyes, squeeze the mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, you literally combine progressive muscle and deep breathing.
I know.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so here are some resources, people that we can reach out to from the Ministry of Education. These are psychologists. If you need to talk to someone, here are the numbers. You can reach out to these psychologists. The numbers are there.
And Doc, you want to just highlight what the numbers are for in the highlighted area to let them know what parishes those persons are working. But those are the educational regions.
Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, so these are the regions that you can find. So if it's for you or if it's for a younger brother, sister, family member, you can always reach out to these psychologists that are available. These are psychologists paid by the ministry to provide free services to anyone in going to school. tertiary, secondary, primary education, you can reach out to these psychologists right here. You can screenshot if you want. Here we have some more psychologists that you can reach out to. I
So
didn't know
the
we had
region,
7 now. I need a
yes, region
okay.
7 is Clarendon Hunley.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's new to
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Region
So
6.
region 7 is Clarendon only. Region
Okay.
6 is St. Catherine
Okay.
only. And region 5, I think, has to do with the west. Region
Okay.
5 and 4 is the west. Region 3 has to do with Trelawney and I think
Yes, I know
St.
region
Anne.
3. Yes.
And region 2 is Portland, St. Thomas, and St. Mary. Region 1 is Kingston and St. Andrew.
Okay, perfect. So these are where the jurisdiction, the places that these psychologists are serving. So please, if you need a support, reach out to them. Don't be afraid. Reach out to them. Talk about strategies that you feel you want to use, or if you have questions about new things that you want to try, or just have a conversation about executive function skills. Call these people. If you have disabilities, you can also reach out to these organizations, the Salvation Army, School for the Blind, if you are a person who is visually impaired, Jamaica Society for the Blind, again for a visually impaired person, Jamaica Association for the Deaf, if you're deaf or hard of hearing, if you have an intellectual disability, the Jamaica Association on Intellectual Disabilities. There's also the Jamaica Autism Support Association. And of course, the Ministry of Education Special Education Unit is providing general support, whatever area of disability you may have, they provide general support to you. The Ministry of Labor also has support going on, so you can also reach out to them. And then there is the JCPD Disaster Relief Hotline that you can also reach out to. And all these organizations, they have numbers and email addresses there that you can reach out to. And then there are volunteer counselors that are providing telecounseling support. So you can also reach out to these individuals. These are people volunteering their time that you can just call them to have conversations with. Seek support to problem solve. Seek support on how to self-regulate. If you feel like you're, dysregulated and you just need to get some tips and tools and strategies, definitely use these resources that are available to you. There are people who have WhatsApp. So if you can't talk or you prefer not to talk, definitely send along a WhatsApp message. That works well too. And that option is available to you. With these numbers, I don't see that they're going by region. So I guess you can just choose, right, Dr. Turner Thomas? Can you
Yeah,
just
these are accessible.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can access any of those.
Yeah. And if you call someone and you feel like that's not a match, you can call somebody else.
Somebody
Don't feel
else.
guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because not every therapist work well with a particular client and vice versa. If you call someone and you feel like they don't match your speed, or call somebody else, tell them thanks for the time and reach out to somebody else. That's not a problem. So I just wanted to share that with us. And there is a link. I'm going to drop this link to just in case you want to. Let me put it on a banner here. Well, I'm going to put it in the comment for those who are here in this space. You can access it there. And then we can get the word out from there. What a night. We have covered so much tonight.
And still feels like we're just scratching the
I
surface.
know. And we have so much more that we could have provided. And so we're going
Yes.
to have to have a part two, Dr. Tharp, Dr. T.
Yes.
Flowers.
Yes.
We're going to continue this conversation because I want to talk a little bit about acceptance commitment therapy. And I want to deep dive a little bit into that and provide some practical strategies that I want us to use as we
Sure.
navigate college and, all the life struggles that are going on. So,
Yeah, because
yeah,
I just to add real quick, because there was the element that was really surfacing a lot, and I'm not sure if you have probably dealt with it in previous session, but it's still heavy with some of our college students right now. The whole aspect of survivor's guilt among our students, those who probably didn't experience it as much as the others and, feel the way that they do because the staff feel it, the students feel it, and also the teachers. So it's one of those things that we've been looking at. Additionally, the Micro University College in collaboration with Restored Hope with Dr. Shalise Brown, a session earlier in November where counselors were trained in a new model that they were putting together called the CARE model. And Dr. She's going to kill me if I can't remember her name. Our favorite doctor at the Michael in the counseling. Short,
Dr.
petite.
Claudine Hyatt.
No.
Don't
Short,
worry.
petite,
Doctor,
petite.
Dr. James.
Not our doctor, doc. not our doctor. Oh dear God, she going to kill me. Nevertheless, forgive me if you're watching this. Nevertheless, yeah, she would have brought us together and would have given us a real wonderful day of utilizing that model in a very, culturally aware way of utilizing that, connecting, affirming, as well as, responding and evaluating. So all of that was wrapped up in that care model about how we could work with persons utilizing a simplistic way. But she did also make mention of the ACT while we were going through that training. So yes, I certainly endorse that.
Yes, I love the ACT. I use it a lot personally. It's one of the strategies, it's something in my toolbox that I use a lot. So I want to share that too as another tool.
Dr. Swaby, that's the name.
Oh, Sweeby. You remember
Okay.
Dr. Sweeby?
you gotta remember this. You got it. You got it. Just
Right, yeah, you did.
Dr.
You did.
Swaby.
You were just suffering from the tip of it. It's called the tip of the tongue. It's just a mind lapse, right?
So we have some more resources here that we can also, use if we need it. The Red Cross, Christian Brethren Assemblies, and the others listed here. We can always reach out to them too if we need some support. The American Friends of Jamaica Disaster Relief Fund.
Dr. Gordon.
Yes.
It's by time now. You must add Kiwanis to the slide.
I know. I feel so.
And Kiwanis can't reach on the slide.
Thank you.
You know what?
Thank you. I'm a Kiwanian.
You're a Kiwanian too. I feel bad that
and I'm a past Kiwanian.
Yeah, I even had Kiwanian awards because I entered Kiwanian competition. See, I even have one right here on my.
Oh Lord!
Several.
And you know what?
I so bad. I don't even have.
Yeah, I'm about to take this slide and I'm gonna add
Kiwanian awards.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of great work. Trust me, right now. So they should be.
Yes, I skipped my meeting tonight. So yeah.
Oh no! So definitely reach out to the Kiwanis Club. Kiwanis are great people. They have lots of resources too. I'm going to add them. I think I have them on another slide. It's just that in this platform, I haven't updated that. I haven't moved that over yet, Dr. Adams. But this reminds me that I need to move that over into this slide so we can have them updated there. But please reach out to these people. People are here to support us. I know some of us are of the mindset, and that goes back to that intergenerational trauma where we feel like, we're not supposed to take help sometimes, or we feel, some form of way when people offer help. Take help when help comes, or if you can reach out and get some support, accept the support, in this time. So tonight we have covered a lot, powerful session, lots of information, and we have lots more to share with you. We hope that we will see you next week, where we're going to talk a bit about some of the strategies mentioned tonight in more detail. But tonight we truly navigated a whole lot of practical strategies, and we talked about how trauma is currently affecting students who are at college. And while we
please remember that next week is Christmas Eve. Just telling
I was
you.
going to remind you, we talked about moving the sessions either Monday or Tuesday.
So,
yes,
if you're not coming to Jamaica to eat wine and cake, I don't think
I'm there.
I'm done.
Oh, Dr. Adams, you will be in Jamaica. You're traveling.
I will be there on
So
Christmas
I don't know how we have it
Yes.
the program on Christmas Eve.
I won't be there this Christmas, but
we
next
said Monday or
Christmas, for
Tuesday because
sure.
we did want to talk about navigating grief through the holidays with everything that
Yes.
has happened.
Yes, that's true. And we're wrapping up our sessions too. We talked about too, Dr. Adams. But I think maybe for the new year, we can have like a session where we just celebrate and reflect on everything. I'm hoping we can have like a reflection session where we just come back and kind of reflect. I think that would be a good idea. That is it for tonight. If anyone wants to close us off, share something before we go, a word, anything, a prayer, a thought, a grounding activity. I'm going to have somebody close us off tonight. Who wants to do that?
I'm pointing at Mr. Thorpe.
I'm going to do the unthinkable. Because
right.
you know my talent, of course. Come
Yes,
on.
Oh, come on, girl. Come on. Come on.
So I think at this point in time, everybody, need a shoulder. And so this is, most befitting. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain and we all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Till I'm gonna need
somebody to lean on. All right, wonderful. All right.
Beautiful. Me too. Good night. This
all right, blessings.
Night.
You're all again soon next week. When is a good day? I know we say we're closing. When Monday, Tuesday. When do we want to? What? Look, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
None of those days.
No, or after.
Monday. No, you said no. Don't do it at all.
No,
what happens to the holiday?
We can maybe delay. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Maybe you could do it on the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the 30th might be a good day because a lot of people are still going through Christmas. A lot of people don't really like Christmas, so they're having a lot of those issues and how to deal with that.
Yes.
So yeah, and then while we're good on the 30th, the New Year is coming. People are looking for a lot of psychological strategies and
that's true.
Empowerment, how they can face the New Year. So the 30th be a good time. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we will do that.
Yeah.
See you all.
Eternal Father, bless our land. Guard us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. To our leaders, great defender, from above. Justice, truth be ours forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love. Teach us true respect for all. Stir response to duty's call. Strengthen us the weak to cherish. Give us vision lest we perish. Knowledge sent us, Heavenly Father, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be us forever. Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we
Before God and all mankind,
I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart,
the wisdom and courage of my mind,
the strength and vigor of my body,
and the service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice,
brotherhood, and peace,
to work diligently and creatively,
to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may under God,
increase in beauty,
fellowship and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare
of the whole human race.
of the whole human race, of the whole human race.